Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Naruto. My Sharingan is blackened, automatic upgrade system. Chapter 81. What a missed day, I will leave in a blink of an eye. If I can do it all over again, I will definitely choose to be reborn here. Kishin looked at the many classmates and showed a smile. Looking at all of them, he shook the forehead guard in his hand. This thing that seems to be showing off. Students, don't be so sad. I just graduated early. I will see you later. If I have time in the future, I will definitely come here to see you. Kishin still had that cynical expression. What kind of cow? We'll definitely have some in the future. Yes, it's just that we got it earlier than us. Some boys in the class exploded at this moment. His expression was extremely disdainful. Kishin didn't say anything more, just smiled softly when he saw this group of troublemakers. After saying goodbye to his classmates, Sakiden put the forehead protector on his head. At this moment, I feel that I have been sublimated. Okay, be quiet, and then start self-study. Sake-tien, come out, I have something to explain to you. At this time, Sake-tien, who was led by the teacher, walked out of the classroom. Kishin didn't know what the teacher wanted to tell him, and inadvertently saw a scroll in the teacher's hand. Now you have graduated ahead of schedule and have become a qualified ninja. Although this ninjutsu is not particularly advanced, it is at least a part of the teacher's heart. If you have any difficulties in the future, just come to the teacher. The teacher looked at Sakishin in front of him, as if looking at his own child. And there was a very kind smile on his face. Kishin has some experience, and he never thought that the teacher would treat him like this. Teacher, thank you very much, but I don't need this ninjutsu. Chi-tien was flattered, but did not accept the gift. In the end, the teacher emphasized again and again, and Kishin also accepted it with some helplessness. Thank you teacher very much, then I will leave here first. I will train well during this time, and hope to be able to participate in missions in the future. Kishin looked at the teacher in front of him with a smile. The teacher nodded, and suddenly thought of something at this moment. If you participate in the mission, you can join the ninja team first. But you can't join now, don't worry about this matter, I will submit an application with Master Hokage. It shouldn't be long before you can take the exam, and you can join after passing the exam. The teacher told him the news, and Kishin was also very surprised at the same time. Originally, I was a crane tail, but a sudden opportunity greatly increased my strength. As a teacher, I also succeeded in taking myself seriously. That's really very grateful to the teacher, thank you again. Kishin looked at the teacher in front of him and felt extremely respectful for him. The teacher also showed a very kind smile and nodded. In the next few minutes, the two of them talked about some things, and finally Chi-Chi walked out of the school slowly. Unexpectedly, I got a scroll. I don't know what kind of ninjutsu is inside. Kishin walked on the street and looked at the scroll in his hand, his expression seemed very happy. Although there is a system in place now, these scrolls can only be used if they can be obtained through serious channels. Are those people in the dark really protecting my safety? They are always around me, but their stealth skills are really bad. Do you really think I can't see them? Chi-tien stopped suddenly, and then carefully looked around. Now there are almost 3 people around him, staring at him closely. All 3 of them are strong men from the Uchiha family. They are also ordered by Uchiha Fugaku. They didn't believe it at first, but after receiving this task, most of them also wanted to take a look at the 8 or 9-year-old kaleidoscope Sharingan. It seems that my reputation is really getting bigger and bigger. There is no news about the Uchiha family and Danzo until now. I don't know, what are they planning? Forget it, let's take one step at a time. Sake-tien really relaxed, and walked forward with a smile on his face. Chi-tien, who was walking on the road, was also thinking about what happened recently. And thinking about my future. According to his current status, the old man of the 3rd generation of Hokage would definitely not hand himself over to Danzo. And he won't let himself do whatever he wants, he will definitely try to make himself have a handle in his hands. There was a Kakashi before, and now there is a Uchiha Sakiden, which is really a bit of a headache. But now that he has graduated ahead of schedule, if he is not allowed to perform the task, what should he do? These issues are all the old man of the 3 generations of Hokage needs to consider. And Kishin only needs to think about what he needs to do. The most important thing now is the subsequent exams, and he must ensure that each of them can pass safely. I didn't expect it to be Huadun, and the level doesn't seem to be low. It seems that the teacher has done some homework. In this way, I have another powerful ninjutsu. It's just that I don't seem to understand this thing. Is my learning ability so bad? Chi Tian looked at the things on the scroll, and seemed to be a little puzzled. Just when he was feeling distressed, the voice of the system appeared in his mind again. Ding, the host's complaints have been detected, and the learning system feels that it has been looked down upon and has been blackened. Ding, fire escape how long fire art has been learned, and the current level is perfect. After listening to each word, Kishin couldn't help showing a smile anymore. Simply making complaints about it allowed one's own strength to be improved again. It will be a legend no matter where it is placed. It's really unexpected. If I encounter such a situation again in the future, I will complain. I will definitely get a response. Ha ha ha. Kishin seems to have some things that can't be found, and he is very rampant. I feel that I have found a pattern, but is this really the case in the market? Now is the time to think about those exams, and don't know who the opponent is. According to the timeline, it is very likely to match up with other villages. That's really great. Finally, I can meet people outside of Konoha village. I don't know if the old man has any special arrangements. Kishin raised his Erlang legs, and put his hands behind his head, very relaxed. For the current own strength, it is called a peace of mind. No matter how powerful the enemy is, it can make him unable to eat. Dong dong. At this moment, there was a knock on the door. Kishin felt a little curious, and there was a possibility in his guess that was extremely high. That's a few of them. After all, school is over now, and I have successfully graduated early today. I'm coming. Chi Tian came to the door with a smile, and then opened the door. Sure enough, the four of them were at the door, and they all had things in their hands, including food and drink. You are this. Chi Tian looked at the things in their hands and asked curiously. Needless to say, of course I'm here to celebrate you. Let's go in quickly. Kurenai Yuhi shook the food in her hand, then said with a smile. As soon as the words fell, the four of them rushed in a swarm. I feel that I have become the owner of this home, and several other owners. Nothing out of sight. These little naughty people sometimes really don't understand you. It seems that today is another happy ending. Kishin looked at the backs of the few of them happily, and he also paid attention to the door with a smile. 5 people started to get busy, and no one rested. If it's not cleaning, it's preparing things. And they also said a lot in action. I didn't expect this day to come so soon. Do you have any plans for the future? When Kurenai Yuhi was handling the food, he looked at Sake Tien next to him and asked. Sakishin shook his head. There is no news so far. The teacher said that you can join the ninja team, but there is no way to join now. It will take a while. Everyone nodded after hearing this. It really should be like this. After all, I just graduated from school and don't know anything. Of course, I need to get familiar with the environment. I don't know what kind of people are in the team you joined. I hope I can meet someone as good as us. Then I won't be bullied inside. Asma said with a heartless smile. Could it be that our brother Tien will be bullied? It's really ridiculous. It's not like we don't know his strength. Even in the new team, he is the only one who bullies others. Obito seemed to have changed from before. Sakishin smiled when he heard the conversation between the two of them. My own home has never been so lively, I don't know why it suddenly became lively these days. These friends of his made him feel a warmth that he had never had before. After everything was ready, 5 people sat down around the table. This time they celebrate Sakita's early graduation again. It's that simple for little ones to have fun together. Cheers. Congratulations. Everyone raised their glasses together. There was a smile on everyone's face. Sake Tien, now you are the only one among us who wants to start working to earn money. You must invite us to dinner in the future. If you don't invite us to dinner again, it will be unreasonable. Yuhi Hong was still the same as before, she couldn't stop her mouth while eating. Kishin smiled and agreed. That's inevitable, if you don't invite you to dinner then, it's really my fault. Everyone nodded happily. They had a very happy time again this evening, and talked a lot, and Chi Tian also learned a lot about what they want to do in the future. Through these friends, Kishan also feels that he has been sublimated to a certain extent. To be honest, when I first trained with you, I really didn't expect your training speed to be so fast. It really surprised me. In contrast, I feel that your future is bright. You must work hard in the future and don't relax. While you are young, do more things that you won't regret. Chi Tian's colleague who had dinner looked at them and said with a smile on their faces. Everyone showed smiling faces, and the feeling of being praised was really great. That's right, don't you look at what kind of people we are. In the whole Muya village, we are famous. Without talent, how could there be such a training speed? During the training, I secretly made up my mind that I must grow up successfully. I want everyone to respect me. Asma suddenly put down her chopsticks and said very proudly. It was almost like his lecture. Don't let us people think highly of you, let those enemies think highly of you, that's the best. Kishan suddenly felt a little embarrassed, and then pulled him back. If it wasn't stopped in time, maybe Asma would be able to say a lot more. Why haven't I seen your face before? It can be seen that you have a lot of small thoughts. Do you think so? Yu Hihong held chopsticks in her hand and looked at the others with a smile. Everyone succeeded in laughing at this moment. Kishan was also very relieved after seeing the appearance of the four of them. I had been worried before that if I graduated early, they might relax. Judging from the current momentum, there is no need to worry about these things at all. Even without their own company, they will seize the time and work hard to improve their strength. After all, there are already 2 students who graduated early in the same class. This is also enough to give the remaining students enough motivation. I'm really happy today, everyone, don't be restrained, eat well, drink well and have fun. Sake Tien once again raised his glass high and drank another drink with them. When everyone is together, it will be very happy every time, and no matter what happens, they can save the day. After everyone left the house, Chi Tian looked at the empty house again, and fell silent. They're really serious, they've already told them that it's fine for me to clean up. I still have to pack all the things, which saves a lot of work. Ha ha. Kishan looked at his tidy home and suddenly laughed. Sitting on the couch and thinking about future plans. It suddenly occurred to me that I hadn't paid attention to Haihua coin for a long time, and I have used it many times recently, so I should have saved enough. It really feels like a lottery. Sake Tien opened his system screen with full expectation. Then I saw that there were 5 numbers above. It's 10 million, it's too many for me to go here, there are more than 5. What did you do recently? There are so many. Kishan was very surprised when he saw the 5 numbers. When I opened my eyes, I felt very happy again. More than 5 is enough for him to buy a lot of good things, and it is also a very happy thing for him. Then let me see what's there next. Chi Tian geared up and looked at the interface with a smile. After reading it carefully a few times, I found one thing that was particularly interesting. Blind box. I didn't expect there to be such a thing as a blind box. Kishan suddenly felt that the system was very user-friendly, and it would be updated from time to time. All the products I saw last time disappeared this time. And all of them were replaced with new ones, most of which I had never seen before. Blind box is one of them. This blind box can't know what's inside, it all depends on your own luck. The rewards are divided into 3 levels, from best to worst or ABC. 80% can draw A, 90% can draw B, 98% can draw C. There is absolutely no empty prize. This introduction is really simple and straightforward. It's just that the price is really expensive. 5,000 yuan apiece. Chi Tian touched his chin, looked at the introduction of the blind box, and thought about it. The price is not cheap, but most of the inside is good. But this percentage is really too tempting. Kishan is also ready to move. After all, whoever encounters this thing is not confused. I looked at my funds again and decided to buy 2 to try. If something is not good, there are more than 4 yuan that can be kept to buy other things. In that case, it's decided. Kishan didn't say any more nonsense, and directly bought 2 blind boxes. 2 square wooden boxes the size of a basketball appeared out of thin air in front of him. And there are a lot of graffiti on it, which is really good from the outside. I don't even know what's inside. I just like this kind of unknown, it's really exciting. It's like scratching the lottery, but the lottery is really hard to win. Kishin looked at the 2 wooden boxes that slowly fell on the table, and couldn't wait to open them to see what they were. Suddenly realized a problem: how to open this thing. Qi Tian took a closer look at the wooden box in front of it, but couldn't find any way to open it, and there was no gap. It is completely a hole. Relying on introductions, not instructions. It's all unlocked by voice. Kishin began to complain, and leaned on the sofa angrily, feeling that there was nothing left to miss in life. Open, open sesame. Ba la la shao moxian, your whole body has changed. Aoli, open it for me. Qi Tian was very unwilling to admit defeat, and began to keep trying, but after a while, there was no command to open it. After countless attempts, there is still no way to open these boxes. God, please help me, what method can I use to open this thing? It's really driving me crazy. Aren't they just decorations and can't be opened? Qi Tian scratched his head weakly, very distressed. When I was at a loss, the wooden box in front of me suddenly began to shine. Beams of light shot out from the box. What? Seeing the cracks in the box in front of him, Qi Tian didn't understand what was going on. But at least now this thing is finally open. Pieces of wood slowly fell off the ground. Eventually turned into a ball of light. Can't open, the password is correct. There was an electronically synthesized sound from the light ball. After carefully thinking about what he just said, he finally understood what was going on. This setting is really too stupid. It seems that the system will sometimes break it for me. Kishin looked at the light ball he was inspecting with a smile, and began to complain. Then I started to study the light ball in front of me. This is the prize in the blind box, but I still don't know what it is. Kishin reached out to touch it curiously, and the light ball instantly became narrower and fatter. After several changes, the light disappeared. It was replaced by a tachi, with fancy patterns and a long handle, and the blade was very uniform in thickness. It's a sword. It's really unbelievable, a weapon that I didn't expect to be able to open. I always feel that some people in this stuff are too ordinary. Sake Tien slightly frowned, slightly disappointed, but when he saw the level of this sword, he was instantly happy. It turned out to be an A-level knife. In this way, this thing is extremely powerful. Qi Tian jumped up very excitedly, and 5,000 yuan was exchanged for a super powerful taidao, which is a good deal. And all along, he also wanted to have a weapon of his own. After all, those small shurikens and kunai are usually used. With this knife, the attack range can be improved to a certain extent. Maybe you will be able to get an upgrade about the knife in the future. Kishin was very happy, and slowly reached out to hold the knife in his hand, extremely excited. Touching it gently is like looking at your own child. I like it no matter how you look at it. It's really great, I'll try its power tomorrow. I hope it can give me a nice surprise. Kishin put the knife aside with a smile, and was about to open the next box. Bought 2 but couldn't open one and leave one behind. And I don't know if this thing has a shelf life. If it disappears after being put away, it will be a loss. Cannot be opened. Sake Tien already knew the rules, and easily opened the box in front of him. The process is the same. Although Kishin knows what kind of process it is, he is still very nervous. The reason why I am nervous is because the first item is very high level, and the second item is likely to be a little lower. God bless, it must be an A grade. Kishin clasped his hands together, closed his eyes and made a very devout wish. When he opened his eyes again, the result surprised him a bit. What is this? Appearing in front of him was a pair of ordinary boxing gloves. It's really ordinary. At first glance, it's just a warm glove. See, it seems that today's luck has run out. But what's the use of this thing? Does it really keep me warm? Qi Tian fell into a low mood for an instant, and then picked up the glove in front of him. Although it was good once, the knife was indeed very good. This process is really thrilling, so hurry up and save money. Just buy this stuff in the future. You can play and get equipment. Qi Tian smiled and looked at the knife next to him, carefully feeling as if he could hear its breathing. After handling all the things, Sake Tien specially made a knife holder for taidao. Then carefully place it on the table. He clapped his hands and looked at it with a smile on his face. He was quite satisfied with his results. Yes, here it is. Maybe I will take you to perform missions in the future. I'll test your sharpness tomorrow, and I hope you can surprise me. Qi Tian glanced at the sword with a smile, then turned off the light and walked into the room to rest. He didn't have a good rest after a whole day, and the time of night was the most relaxing time for him. Early the next morning, Qishan happily walked out of the house with his weapon. How much can Sake Tian like this knife? Opening his eyes in the morning, he came to the door with no clothes on, and glanced at the taidao on the table. No matter who sees him like this, he thinks he is a little cute. It is obviously just a weapon, but in his eyes, he is like his partner. It's really exciting. I will be able to see your power soon. I hope you can give me a surprise. Qi Tian was walking on the street with a weapon in his hand, thinking silently in his heart, with a smile on his face all the time. Muya village, next to a small river in the back mountain. Just here, it's really quiet, no one will disturb our training. Then let's get started. Sake Tian carefully observed his surroundings and started preparations for training after making sure that there was no problem. Slowly draw out the sword, and the first reaction is to start admiring its appearance. It's so beautiful that even I am a little reluctant to use it. But it's really hard to extract your value without using your words. Sakatan started his chatter mode again. Now he has mastered most of the ninjutsu, fire escape and wind escape, but Kishin sometimes feels that he can't use them at all. In contrast, my own kaleidoscope Sharingan is the most useful. And now that they have another weapon, those Huodun and Fengdun are really likely to be disgusted in the future. Without any knowledge about using knives, Sakishin suddenly realized that he was a little helpless. Although knowing how to hold a knife is the most correct, there is no way to exert real power at all. What the hell is this? Don't you give me something to learn if you give me a knife. I'm like a novice now, and I don't have any understanding of this aspect at all. Kazuki looked at the dagger in his hand coquettishly, very angry. Ding, it is detected that the host likes the new and dislikes the old, all the previous ninjutsu have started an uprising and automatically blackened. Ding, all ninjutsu blackened successfully, proficiency +10. I lost it. It's time like this. Ninjutsu is still here to join in the fun. It's really amazing. After a moment of Saki's naive system, I was a little disappointed. I thought that my complaints could be exchanged for something useful. But now it seems that these things are not of much use. Ding, the heart that detects that the host has become stronger is very strong, and the weapon family system can be activated. The first activation requires black coins. After activation, the level will be directly upgraded to Supreme. The voice of the system appeared in his mind again. This time, Kishin didn't understand something, and it was the first time that the Supreme level appeared. As for what level it is, Sakishin doesn't know. Well, since it's all like this, it can only be activated. Ding, the weapon family's physique has been activated successfully, consuming black coins, and the level is Supreme. This level has the function of never forgetting, mastering it once, mastering it 3 times, and being superb 5 times. In addition, the weapon clone function, Wandao Chaozong. These words of the system made Qi Tian startled for a while. Standing in place has been in a daze, and also obviously felt some changes in his body. Although it is particularly subtle, it is after all a change in one's own body. Whether it's fingers or arms, they seem to move more sensitively than before. This 135 is really awesome. There is also Wandao Chaozong, it can't be the effect in the TV series. If that's the case, it's really against the sky. Kishin suddenly raised his head and laughed, already thinking of the moment when he shined on the battlefield. Countless knives are placed on the necks of the enemy leaders, and I can take the enemy's head with just a few fingers. Just thinking about it makes me very excited. The system is really awesome, I really love you to death. Kishin couldn't wait now, and wanted to start trying. And there are many moves in my mind, presumably because of my physique. Master of weapons is not called for nothing. He lowered his head and looked at the taidao in his hand, then concentrated on practicing. One trick and one style, all displayed to the fullest. Every trick, no matter which village it is placed in, no one can match it. In this way, more than 2 hours passed, and Kishin was also sweating. His hands also trembled slightly. It's so comfortable, it's like taking a bath. If you come again, you will close the knife. Sakadin moved his hands, and this time he took an attacking posture. Holding the handle of the knife tightly with both hands, he swung forward vigorously, and a wave stood out in an instant, heading straight for the trees in front of him. Boom! The moment the air wave hit the big tree, the whole tree exploded, turning into a pile of sawdust. In the 2 hours just now, Qi Tian accidentally discovered that he could create new tricks. And this item is what he created. The principle is to launch his own chakra with a sword, just like the true Qi in the knight's body. Chakra has been researched into new tricks by him, so what else is impossible to happen? If this trick is used on a person, it will definitely be fatal. This power is enough to give him a fatal blow. There is no chance to fight back at all. I will study it carefully in the future and make it more perfect if the speed is accelerated. Kishin walked to the front of the sawdust and looked down at the sawdust. For the current physical fitness, there is no need to practice more before. It took him just 2 hours to reach ecstasy. Unconsciously, now I also have the ability to protect myself. And when I meet those powerful enemies, I can also touch them. I don't know who will be stronger between me and Ying. Now I think about it a little too much. Ha ha. Sakishin returned to reality, and smiled a little awkwardly. After packing up all my things, I walked slowly back to the village. I didn't plan to train too much today, I just came to test the power of this Taidao, and now I have the results, I am very satisfied. Would it be better to give you a name? I just like a sense of ceremony. But what is the best name to name you now? Sakishin suddenly fell into deep thought. To put it simply, this question is just a name. It is difficult to say, but it must be a very pleasant name, and it must also conform to Taidao's temperament. This is really a problem. Let's save it for later. Very hungry. Sake Tien thought about the name for a moment and forgot, and then decided to eat a bowl of ramen. In terms of hunger, no problem can be bigger than it. Coming to the familiar Ichiraku ramen, Sakadin wiped the corner of his mouth, and then swallowed his saliva. When I walked in, I came to an empty seat, and then ordered a bowl of super luxurious ramen. This is also the first time he has eaten such a super luxurious food in such a long time. I didn't even dare to think about it because I was poor before, but now I'm about to start going out to perform tasks, do I still worry about money? Ridiculous. Yohi, I didn't expect you to become a real ninja. It seems that you really need to celebrate. This time I will put more food for you, and I will have to work harder in the future. Uncle Yil noticed the forehead guard on Sakishin's forehead here. That's really great, thank you uncle. At this moment, Kishin felt that his status had improved a lot. Looking at the guys next to him without forehead protection, it seemed that he was like a master of those people. Very airy. A few minutes later, Kishin saw a steaming bowl of ramen in front of him, with many ingredients on it, and it was indeed very luxurious at first glance. Here we go. Without saying a word, he picked up the bowl and began to eat with a snort. A large bowl of ramen quickly entered the stomach. After eating, he licked his lips and burped with great satisfaction. Uncle Yil, settle the score. Although this bowl of ramen is a bit expensive, it is not worth mentioning for Qi Tian now. Qi Tian walked out of this noodle shop very satisfied. After walking out of the noodle shop, Kishin stretched out his fingers and touched the forehead protector on his head, and after making sure that it was not crooked, he walked forward contentedly. 8 Yalu, Kishin, stop for me. I'm going to fight you to the death. If you're running away today, you're not human. And at this moment, an angry guy suddenly rushed out from behind Qi Tian. Hearing someone call his name, Qi Tian slowly turned his head to look, still picking his teeth with a toothpick. Suddenly a figure rushed out, but luckily Qi Tian dodged in time and passed in front of him. What the hell? Qi Tian opened his eyes wide, turned his head to look, and found a boy about his age, already lying on the ground, and a dog gnawed on the ground. Who are you? Qi Tian slowly came to him, and then kicked him lightly with his foot. The boy on the ground twitched his body, then curled up and knelt on the ground. It hurts. What is your grandma hiding? My nose. Okay you, have you forgotten me? You heartless guy. The boy covered his nose, raised his head and looked at Kishin, his eyes were full of anger. Oh, you are. Qi Tian was surprised, with an extremely exaggerated expression. That's right, it's me. Do you remember? The boy on the ground stood up suddenly, and then looked at Sakishin full of surprise. Qi Tian shook his head. No. His expression was indifferent, not pretending at all. And after tidying up the entire memory, there is no trace of this person. What? The boy could no longer care about his nose, and retreated back in big strides. Then make a very exaggerated posture, the whole body seems to say, I don't believe it. Qi Tian looked at the boy in front of him, and all the hidden fragments of memories came out of his mind. And the name of the boy in front of him also appeared in his mind. Long Ao, no moonlight blast. But at this moment, there is no picture of him in Kishin's mind at all of them are Azuki Shion. You really won't forget me. Although we are not classmates, at least we have some friendship. Moonlight Gale put his hands on his hips, looking at Sakishin in disbelief. It was at this moment that Kishin carefully looked at the moonlight blast in front of him. There are heavy dark circles under the eyes, his face is pale, and his body is quite weak, as if he can be pushed out with a light push. Kishin still has some memories of the character in front of him. It can be said that it is the soy sauce in Naruto, and the lover is Azuki Shion. It turned out to be you. I didn't really recognize it if I didn't look carefully just now. The tutorial for the two of us only has one bowl of ramen. Kishin looked at him impatiently, and started picking his nose. A bowl of ramen. I searched carefully from my memory. A long time ago, because I was very hungry, I encountered Moonlight Gale. Because of this, I once ate a bowl of ramen for free. It may be because he was very weak at the time, which caused Moonlight Gale to always want to challenge himself. I knew that the odds of winning were very high, and it seemed that I had a sense of superiority. What is called a bowl of ramen? It is a bowl of ramen that can save you. Is it possible that you have forgotten this favor? Moonlight Gale is obviously a little angry, and it's shown vividly. Kishin smiled slightly. It was indeed because of your bowl of ramen before that one had the motivation to live. But it's different now. If you want me to repay your favor, I can give you 10 bowls of ramen. I don't have a good impression of Yugong Gale, and now I don't want to have more entanglements with him. It was not a favor that I owed before, but helplessly, I have now become that person. It must be done for him. You kid is too rampant. It's been a long time since we met, and you can talk to me like this. Don't forget, I'm your savior. Okay, is this how you pay back? Moonlight Hayate pointed at Sakadin, talking about the 10 bowls of ramen. Sakishin picked his ears, and then made a stop gesture. In this case, how do you say I will repay you? The pits dug by the predecessors always need someone to fill them. After hearing this sentence, Moonlight Gale calmed down, and then his eyeballs began to spin. Is that right? I have something very important and I want your help. You must never tell anyone else. Moonlight Gale looked around, then whispered to him. Kishin nodded lightly, and he couldn't imagine how much he could ask for a child. But I still have some curiosity in my heart. Isn't it Shion's birthday in a few days? I want to. Moonlight Gale suddenly began to hesitate. As soon as Qi Tian thought of this, he immediately knew what he wanted to do. Do you want me to make some surprises for you? Then so that Azuki Shion likes you more and more. Qi Tian didn't talk nonsense at all, and just said the key points directly. After hearing these words, Moonlight Gale was stunned for a moment, and then the smile behind him patted his shoulder. Good boy, you are quite good at this aspect. How about it? Do you want to hear about my next plan? Moonlight Gale's expression suddenly became wretched, and he kept observing his surroundings. Qi Tian felt that there was nothing wrong now, so he just listened and nodded. In the next 10 minutes, Yugong Galifang spoke out the plan he had thought up in detail. Sure enough, it's a child. These routines are really too childish, but girls should like them very much. Sake Tien felt a little bored, but didn't show it. Moonlight Hayate looked at Sakishin very expectantly. Okay, then I'll help with this. After doing this favor, the relationship between the two of us will be over, and no one owes anyone. Kishin looked at Yugong Haifeng's appearance, and really didn't want to have anything to do with him. After getting the promise, Moonlight Gale jumped up happily. Originally, he didn't intend to find Kishin today, and if it wasn't for an accidental encounter, such a thing would not have happened. Then let's talk about it like this. I will go to your home to find you tomorrow. Then we will talk about it in detail. It has to be loud. Moonlight Hayate looked at Sakishin very happily, as if seeing the light. Chi-Tien nodded, although he was a little reluctant, but at least it would be better to repay this favor. The two agreed on a time like this. Is there anything else going on now? If there is nothing else, I will go home first. The more it is at such a time, the better it is to hurry up and leave. Wait, it always feels like you've changed a lot. But I can't tell what has changed. Moonlight Gale touched his chin and frowned slightly. Kishin was shocked. It was really strange that a person who had nothing to do with each other had such a feeling. What changes can I make? Nothing more than growing a little taller and getting fatter. Kishin is very unnatural, and his expression is a little guilty. As a person who can't lie, Kishin is the number one. Moonlight Gale obviously didn't intend to stop here, and started to bump up and down a lot, and his feet followed suit. More time means more danger. Be safe and go for the best policy. Oh, I haven't changed much, maybe it's because you haven't seen me for a long time. Suddenly remembered that there are still some things at home, so I will leave first. Don't forget to come to me tomorrow. Bye-bye. After finishing speaking, Chi-Tien hurriedly walked towards the intersection. No matter how the moonlight blast shouted, Chi-Tien didn't stop. After walking for a long time, Chi-Tien carefully observed the rear and stopped after making sure that he did not catch up. It's really dangerous. It almost revealed my secrets. It seems that I have to hide it well in the future. But how did you find me now? It's worth thinking about. Chi-Tien walked slowly, and began to ponder in his heart. At the same time, Moonlight Gale was also thinking carefully, but soon came to a result. I said, why is it different from what I saw before? It really is that he has become taller. He seems to be taller than me now. It seems that I have to hurry up and work hard to eat, but I can't let that kid overtake. Moonlight Gale suddenly realized, as if he had seen through everything. It seems that Sakishin is indeed thinking too much. After all, as children, how could they have such great observation skills? A sneeze. Kishin was walking, and suddenly sneezed. Which son of a fool is scolding me? Am I really thinking too much? After Kishin turned his head and made sure again that he hadn't followed, he walked towards home with confidence. After returning home, he didn't go to rest right away. According to what he knew, he would take the exam in a few days. But now he has no idea what kind of people his opponents are. This also made him a little worried. When this incident happened again, Kishin felt that he was really going to be bored to death. It should only be a few days to hear what he means, and I don't know if it's just me and him. Get this thing done first, and then talk about other things. Sakita shook his head and decided on his next plan. The next day, early in the morning, there was a knock on the door. Moonlight Gale couldn't wait to get up, and it started after arriving at home, frantically discussing. And it also repeated many plans again. Although these plans had been stated before, he would emphasize them again just in case. Chi-Tien also got a little impatient, and finally took a piece of paper and wrote down all these plans. Okay, don't say it, so I won't forget it again. The day after tomorrow is my birthday, and you will come to me then. Is it just the two of us this time? Sakitien slapped the paper on the table and asked. Moonlight Gale nodded very satisfied. Of course not the two of us, how many people are there? After hearing these words, Sake was relieved. If it was just the two of them, it would definitely be very embarrassing. Suddenly felt that I was a single dog at any time. It's really strange to say. Sakitien realized this. No matter who they are with, they are the official CP after all, and I am often the brightest light bulb. Okay, since there's nothing else to do now, you can go first. I still have to prepare things well, just in time to take a rest. Kishin couldn't hold on anymore, and sent him out of the house in a hurry. In this way, a very quiet time came again. In the next period of time, Kishin also sorted out a lot of things. After all, they will be needed at that time. In the blink of an eye, it was Azuki Shien's birthday. Kishin also put on brand new clothes on this day, and washed his hair specially. Knowing Azuki Shien, this character is also very beautiful, at least to leave a good impression on others. Boom boom boom. There was a knock on the door again. After Chi-Tien opened the door, he saw Moonlight Gale. You're here, looked at him very calmly. Whatever Faye said, I'm waiting for you. I really don't understand that you can be so ink-stained. Let's go quickly. On the contrary, Moonlight Gale was very impatient. Without waiting for Kishin to speak, the Moonlight Blast pulled him as if walking outside. I'll go, there's no need to be in such a hurry. Haven't I locked the door yet? Chi Tien broke free, then locked the door and followed him forward again. A birthday party is about to begin. They arrived at the venue very quickly, and the venue where the birthday was held this time was also very familiar. That is Haoshan. I don't know why, but these children always like to be in the back mountain. You chose this place as the venue. You didn't tell me about this in advance. Sometimes I really don't understand you. How can you show your true strength here? Chi Tien saw a patch of color ahead, and then asked about the Moonlight Blast next to him. There is really no way to do this. Who told me that I don't have much money in my hand? Just make do with it here. Moonlight Gale is obvious, a little helpless. In this way, the two of them came to the middle of the field. Hey, we're still acquaintances. It's much easier now. At least it won't be so embarrassing. After Kishin saw the people in front of him, he instantly became motivated. Originally, I thought that I didn't know other people, but it would be very embarrassing. Now it seems that the situation is still very optimistic. Brother God, Sake Tien, Sakaten-kun, Asma, Yuhihong, and Kai stepped forward to greet him. Sakita responded with a smile on his face. But there are 2 or 3 that I don't know, presumably they are all classmates in Moonlight Gale's class. I didn't expect a few of you to come to help. Now, I can finally feel relieved. Chi Tien looked at them with a smile. Everyone also laughed. Sake Tien, why did you come here suddenly? Yuhihong felt a little strange. It's a long story. So, like this, like that. Chi Tien told them about the experience of this matter. Although the process is really a bit strange, at least everything happened in real life. I really didn't expect it to be like this. But it doesn't matter, anyway, we can eat for free this time. It's right to help others. Yuhihong smiled. It turned out that the real purpose was to come here to eat and drink. Sakita nodded. Hurry up, everyone, the time is almost up, and we have to hurry up and arrange this place. Moonlight Gale stood on a big rock, and then said loudly to several of them. Come on, let's get to work. You can't eat and drink for nothing. Sake Tien took them to the side and began to decorate things. For more than an hour, they arranged the surrounding beautifully. And there are many beautiful little decorations on it. There is a big blanket on the ground, which is full of delicacies and fruits. You're done, when will the protagonist come? Kishin clapped his hands and looked at their results, which made him quite satisfied. Moonlight Gale looked at the time. It should be soon, suddenly I have a very good idea. Everyone also focused their eyes on him, not knowing what the next idea was. You should all hide it, so that you can give her a better surprise. It might turn out to be pretty good. Moonlight Galawind happily expressed his thoughts. After everyone heard it, except Kishin, they all felt very good. And who doesn't like this kind of mystery? Okay, then it's settled. Soon a few of them hid in the tree. After all, they also have certain skills. I don't understand these kids anymore. Clean up all these bells and whistles. Isn't it good to have a mediocre meal? You have to spend all this money. Kishin was a little bored hiding in the big tree, but at this moment he saw a girl in the distance. He has long purple hair, a slender figure, and 2 piercing eyes. At a glance, you can tell how many boys this girl is the goddess of. Is this Mao Yuxian? I have to say that she looks really pretty. The figure is also very good. No wonder this kid is so fascinated by her. If it were me, I would also restrain myself. Chi Tien looked at the Moonlight Blast below him with a smile. At this time, Moonlight Gale was a little flustered, and his hands kept rubbing back and forth. Azuki Shion, who looked at the distance and wanted to come by herself, suddenly felt a little embarrassed. Hail, what do you want me to do here? What are these things behind you? After Azuki Shion came in front of Yugong Gale, she asked with a blank face. Moonlight Gale was very nervous at this time, and was a little speechless at first. Here, this is a birthday present for you. Oh, no, this is a birthday party for you. How is it? Are you satisfied? Moonlight Gale had her hands behind her back, squirming like a little girl. Kishin looked at the two of them from above, that was very clear. Oops, I'm going. This is a very bad opening line, but it's absolutely perfect. Kids are kids after all, and they can't understand girls' true thoughts at all. Kishin has already started to complain about the uncle. And the two people below are still talking there. Wow, is it really beautiful? Did you prepare these? Thank you so much. Suddenly I feel so excited. Azuki Shion looked at everything around her and was very moved. The boy Yugong Gale shook his head. This is all my idea, but they still help. As soon as the words fell, the few people hiding in the tree jumped to the ground instantly after hearing the secret signal they had negotiated before. Happy birthday. Everyone was talking in unison and started applauding. Azuki Shion couldn't handle this step, and she covered her mouth with her hands to express her surprise. She herself didn't expect it to be like this. Are you all here to celebrate my birthday? Thank you very much. It's the first time I've been so touched in such a long time. Azuki Shion was a little nervous when speaking at this time, and her eyes were slightly moist. For children, birthdays are undoubtedly the most anticipated time of the year. And if there is such a party, it will be a very good memory for them. Of course I'm here to celebrate your birthday, my good sister. Yuhi Hong took out a bouquet of flowers from behind and gave it to her. Thank you, Hong. I am so lucky to have a good sister like you. Azuki Shion hugged the flowers, more excited than before. Then the two girls hugged each other. Afterwards, several of them also gave her the birthday presents they had prepared. Thank you so much. It is very worthwhile to have friends like you in this life. Azuki Shion was very happy looking at the gift in her arms. After seeing such a scene, Moonlight Gale suddenly became extremely proud. And I feel that these plans of mine are all within expectations. The results are also quite impressive. Well, I didn't disappoint you this time, did I? We started preparing days in advance. It's all about waiting for this day. Shiyan, I wish you a happy birthday. Another year older. Moonlight Gale also presented his gift at this time. This gift is quite meaningful. It is a very beautiful hairpin with some small animal decorations on it. Thank you, Haifeng. I'm really touched. Azuki Shion put all her presents on the ground, and then bowed slightly to thank them. Okay, you're welcome with us. Come on over and start your party. Yuhi Hong pulled Azuki Shion to the side, and the others also sat together. Just like that, the birthday party officially started. A lot of delicious snacks and some delicious fruit are all laid out in front of them. Everyone is quite happy, eating and talking. Shiyan, did you expect to be like this before you came? Yuhi Hong suddenly turned around and asked. Honestly, I really didn't expect this to happen. It was quite a surprise. Anyway, I still want to thank you very much. This is also the happiest birthday I have ever had. Azuki Shion looked at them very politely, and then said thank you again. Such a polite girl, who is not confused when she sees it. Hey, you are Sake Tien. At this time, Azuki Shion suddenly noticed a person, and his expression was very incredible. Sakiden nodded with a smile. Yes, it's me, that Sakiden of the Uchiha family. Although it was affirmed, Azuki Shion still couldn't believe it. Start to observe repeatedly. It's really strange. I always feel that you have changed so much. I didn't see you like this before. Azuki Shion touched her chin with her hand and began to think carefully. Of course, Sakiden is now a legend in our class. This kid must have had a lot of training behind his back, his strength has improved by leaps and bounds, and he has successfully graduated now. There are only 2 people in our class who graduated early, one is Kakashi and the other is him. Kurenai Yuhi looked at Sakishin with a smile, and then briefly told about his magical past. Sakishin didn't stop him, and kept smiling awkwardly but politely. It's no wonder that he looks a little strange, and his appearance has undergone some subtle changes. He is much more handsome than before. And the body also looks very strong, so it has become so strong now. It's really hard to see that he has such a powerful strength. Azuki Shion still maintained an incredulous expression. And his eyes were always on Sakishin. Kishin glanced at Moonlight Gale, and found that he was just a little bit jealous. No further words. Okay, good birthday, why should we discuss him? Let's talk about other happy things. Did you say that there was something particularly beautiful last time, and I forgot what it was? At this time, Yu Hahong also obviously noticed some subtle atmosphere, and deliberately changed the subject. Sure enough, a new topic was opened, and Azuki Xian's attention was all diverted. Kishin also breathed a sigh of relief at this time, but fortunately things did not turn out to be the worst. Brother Tian, it seems that you are very lucky. That kid ate a lot of vinegar just now, and the air is already filled with the smell of vinegar. Asma came to Sakishin, and whispered in his ear very quietly. Go to the side, I always feel that you kid has no good intentions. I can see it, so simple on the surface, but there is a lot of bad water. Qi Tian looked at Asma with a smile, and then started to fight with him a little. Although Moonlight Gale is not as jealous as before, he will still inadvertently drift his gaze to Sakishin. The plot is getting more and more outrageous. If it goes on like this, it won't work. If that kid messes up again, it will be troublesome. Sakita carefully watched Moonlight Hayate while eating snacks. He couldn't fail to feel the situation just now. Brother Tian, I heard that you are going to take the exam soon. Asma ate heartlessly, and looked at Sakishin next to her. The news came too soon. It is possible that his father Sandai Hokage told him. After all, it is quite good to have a particularly powerful father. I'll go, you are very well informed about the news, I didn't expect you to know it so soon. That's right, that's it. After graduating from school, you have to take the Chunin exam. And go out to perform tasks and take exams at the same time. Sake Tien wasn't too surprised. After all, he also knows the relationship between Asma and the 3 generations of old men. After hearing these conversations, everyone expressed surprise. Not long after graduation, he had to take the Chunin exam again. How much strength is needed to be able to do it? It's really like this. That's really amazing, and the gap between the few of us has increased again. Kurenai Yuhi looked at Sakishin incredulously, with a slight disappointment on his expression. Originally, they felt that there was a big gap between them and Sakishin, so there was an obvious gap again. It's okay, I know what you guys are worried about. Isn't it just an exam? You will also experience it in the future, and I also believe that you will soon follow in my footsteps. This is something we have agreed on before. Sake Tien smiled politely to avoid embarrassment. Although there is nothing wrong with saying this, the expressions of several of them are still so exaggerated, especially Kai. Sake Ten-kun, you haven't seen each other for so long, your strength must have improved a lot. Otherwise, if I come to PK again, I feel like my whole blood is heating up. Youth is about constantly sweating. Katie stood up quickly, and shouted loudly. Everyone didn't say anything, and they all really wanted to see Qi Tian's strength now. Kai, isn't this bad? After all, it's Xian's birthday party. Wouldn't it be okay for us to PK here? Qi Tian found a reason very reluctantly, and very much hoped to press this matter down. He was very surprised by the next person's proposal. Come on, just PK, I'm also very curious about your strength. It just so happens that I have an opponent now, so take it as my birthday wish. Azuki Xian spoke suddenly, clasping her hands together very piously. Several other people also started booing at this time. Sake Ten-kun, our protagonist has already said so, if you have any worries, come here quickly. Let the 2 of us have a good time, now I can't wait to make a move. Kai danced happily on the spot. He has always wanted to challenge an opponent stronger than himself. Before there was Kakashi, now there is Sakiden. After seeing other people making a fuss, Qi Tian could only bite the bullet and nod in the end, agreeing. Since this is the case, then I will exercise my muscles and bones. But the 2 of us have to go to the end, and there must be no danger. Sakiden stood up, and then moved his body. Kai nodded with a very serious smile on his face. At this time, the others also formed a row, holding a lot of snacks in their hands, waiting to watch the show. Qi Tian and Kai came to an open space ahead. Since PK, let's use the same trick for the 2 of us. Bamin Dunjia. How about this proposal? Qi Tian thought about it carefully, and decided that this is better. Kai nodded happily. Very good. During this period of time, I have also had a good training. It will definitely surprise you. Both were ready for battle, staring at each other. 8 doors, open the first door. 8 door Dunjia, the first door opens. The two opened the first door at the same time, and a special aura appeared around their bodies. 8-door Dunjia PK is really worth seeing. Sake Tien took the lead and rushed forward, and soon scuffled with Kai. Two people, you kicked each other, and you punched each other. It was a joy to fight. The second door, open. The second door is open. After fighting several times, the two opened the second door at the same time. The breath around the body changed again. Punching and kicking, every move was very hard, the two people were not injured. After all, the things used are the same, and the defense capabilities are similar. And the scene of two people fighting in front is like two gods fighting in the eyes of everyone. The faint breath on his body became a blurred flash under the high-speed movement. Everyone's eyes couldn't keep up with their movements, but they were still sitting there and watching, very happy and very cool. 4 doors, open. 4 doors open. But this time, Kishin opened the 4th door very easily, and Kai had a little difficulty, but at least he opened it successfully. After the two opened the 4 doors, the fighting scene escalated again. Chi Tien rushed forward in an instant, raised his right leg, and gave a whip kick. Kai also quickly raised his arms to block. Boom! With a muffled sound, Kai grabbed the ground with both feet, and his body moved 3 or 4 meters backward, leaving 2 deep marks on the ground. Kai flexed his arms, then smiled broadly. Sake Tien, you were really great, and I haven't been this comfortable for a long time. Let us celebrate our youth together. Like a lion, Kai was full of red aura and rushed up. Kishin also gradually showed his own smile and rushed forward. Every move of the two people hit the flesh, without a trace of sloppy. After a while, they all stood there and gasped for breath. Sweat had begun to ooze from Kai's forehead, and his hands were shaking uncontrollably. Opening the 4th door was already a bit difficult, but it has been maintained for such a long time so far, and it will soon reach the limit. Sake Tien didn't want to expose himself too much, so he disguised himself a little. Although his body didn't change in any way, he was panting heavily. Kai, or the two of us will stop here. If we continue to fight like this, there will be no winner. If possible, we will continue when we have a chance in the future. When Kishin saw that Kai wanted to rush over again, he hurriedly stopped him. Kai stopped for a moment, and then was a little disappointed. Sake Ten-kun, I will never admit defeat, and I also hope that there will be a result this time. Seeing Kai's very serious expression, Kishin didn't want to disappoint him either. Sake Tien has already figured out the best solution so far. Okay, since you've said that, there's no need for me to keep my strength. Wait a minute and see if it's over. Sake Tien looked at him righteously and said. Kai didn't understand something, but he was very obedient and didn't continue to attack. All the people who were watching by the side did not move, and they were not eating snacks. The battle just now was enough to shock them, and some even couldn't believe their eyes. Are they both still human? This speed, explosive power, and strength are not at the level we can reach. Asma looked at the figures of the two and said tremblingly. You don't even look at who the two of them are. Sake Tien doesn't need to introduce too much. The very special training of this kid, Madokai, is not something we can do. There is a reason why the two of them are so powerful. Yu Hihong looked at Asma with a trace of contempt. The scene returns to the scene of the two of them fighting. In order to stop this battle, Kishin also went all out this time. Kai, show it to me. If you don't have this situation, this time the PK is over. Kishin clenched his hands into fists, and then began to exert strength. 8 gates Dunjia, 5th gate, Du gate, open. As soon as the words fell, the aura around Chi Tien's body instantly became violent. The body has also undergone some very obvious changes, and the color has also become redder. After a few seconds the whole state was maintained. The aura around the body is much more violent than before, but Kishin can still fully grasp it. As this, 5 gates. When Kai saw Kishin in the 5-door state, he turned off the fire instantly, and the breath around his body gradually disappeared, returning to his normal state. Kishin nodded slightly. This was also his first attempt to open the 5th door. Although he could know that it had been opened, it was also his first attempt. See clearly, this is the gap between us. If you want to challenge again in the future, wait until you can open the 5th door. Chi Tien moved his steps and slowly came to him. Kai looked at the very violent aura around him, and swore to himself. Everyone around them opened their mouths. This is also the first time they have seen the fifth door among the 8 Dunjias. Okay, don't be discouraged, we are still very young now, and there are infinite possibilities. Just use your words, youth is to sweat. Sakadin cancelled the fifth door and tapped him lightly on the shoulder. The breath around the body began to dissipate after 2 or 3 seconds. When Kai heard that sentence, he returned to his active state. The whole person jumped vigorously. Let us cheer for our youth together. Seeing Kai like this, Qi Tian smiled lightly to himself. Then the two happily returned to their surroundings together. At this time, all of them showed very surprised expressions. The battle just now made them amazed, and no one looked envious. Everyone wants to have such strength, but no one can be Sakadin. And there is only one Sakadin, and that is the Uchiha Sakadin of the Uchiha family. What's wrong with you all? Kishin watched them all open their mouths, and knew why without asking. It goes without saying that it must be because the way the two of you fought just now was really scary. Although we know that you are very strong, we don't know that you are so strong. Yu Hahong came back to her senses, and looked at the two of them with a smile. The others also closed their mouths and nodded at this time, looking really cute. Qi Tian didn't say anything more, only showing a smiling face. It's not good to explain too much, it's better to give them a smiley face and let them understand by themselves. As time passed, they went back to birthday parties. And during this, Azuki Shien's eyes looked at Sakishin from time to time. Sake Tien, as the person involved, could clearly feel that gaze. I don't know why, but these girls all had Lolita faces when they were young, and the more they look the cuter they are. After they grow up, they are obviously Yuji. Qi Tian was also very puzzled. After the battle just now, Moonlight Gale was much more honest. Originally, I wanted to find an opportunity to challenge myself. After seeing Sake Tien's battle, this idea was shattered. The day passed quickly, and this birthday party also ushered in the end. I'm really happy today, and at the same time I want to thank you very much. It's really fun to be with you. At the end of the birthday party, Azuki Shien talked to them very politely. Everyone is also very humble, and they also start to boast about each other. After they finished, they cleaned up the place, and walked happily back to the village together. After returning to the village, it was already evening. After Kishin separated from the few of them, he walked slowly on the road, thinking about performing tasks and exams all the time. I don't know when I will be able to go out to perform the mission. I really hope that day will come sooner. If I don't make any more money, I'm going to starve. Qi Tian carefully thought about how much money he had left, and then touched his empty wallet. Not to mention how sad it is. Sakita, please wait a moment. At this moment, a girl's voice suddenly came from behind. Qi Tian stopped and turned around to look, and found that the person who came was Azuki Shien. How could it be her? Is there anything else going on? Kishin couldn't figure out why he came looking for him again. After Azuki Shien came in front of him, she took a few breaths and tried to calm herself down. Student Shien, what's the matter, do you need something from me? Sakishin looked at her with an innocent expression on his face. Azuki Shien nodded, obviously coming with a purpose. Actually, it's not a big deal. I want to ask you if you have time tomorrow. If you have time, can you go shopping with me? After all, Azuki Shien was a girl, and her body was twitchy when she said these words. Kishin was a little surprised after knowing that she was looking for him for this purpose. Ah, this matter. With a very unnatural smile on his face, it is difficult to hide the inner situation. I have had countless thoughts just now, but I never thought that it would be such a thing. I don't know exactly what will happen tomorrow. Well, if you come to me tomorrow, there should be nothing wrong tomorrow. For such a cute girl's invitation, Sake Tien was too embarrassed to refuse. After getting the promise, Azuki Shien jumped up happily in an instant. Really, that would be great. Then I will find you tomorrow, thank you very much. Then I'll go first, bye. Azuki Shien was very happy, bouncing and running towards the front. Qi Tian looked at such a beautiful girl, and his heart began to beat faster. It may be that he hasn't felt in love for a long time. At this moment, Sakishin mistakenly thought that he had met a girl he liked. And at the end of this intersection, half of the head protruded out, and one eye was fixed on Sakishin. This person was Moonlight Gale, and he had sensed something was wrong just now, and had been following Mao Yuxian. The scene just now was also in his eyes. Clenched tightly, angry, wishing to tear Qi Tian apart now. Okay, it's time to go home. So happy. Sakishin shrugged, his expression extremely relaxed. When I got home, I opened the door and saw a letter on the ground. What? Driven by curiosity, Kishin looked around, then bent down to pick it up. Came to the living room, sat down and looked at the envelope carefully. It still has my name on it. Strange, who gave it to me? Kishin looked at the envelope carefully, and finally opened it. After reading the content inside, I realized that it was given to me by the third Hokage. It turns out that I have found a team for me, and I will report to him the day after tomorrow. Just one such thing. Qi Tian recalled that he was not at home all day today. It is very likely that the person sent to deliver the letter left it at the door of the house. Chapter 91. That's fine. There should be nothing to do tomorrow. I can see my new team members the day after tomorrow. I'm really happy. I don't know who they are, and I don't know if they get along well. Sakadin put the letter on the table and started muttering. What makes him happy is that he can finally go out to perform tasks and earn money. This way you don't have to stay at home every day. Tomorrow, I'm going to go shopping with Azuki Shion again. Are you asking me to be a tool again? No way, it shouldn't be the case from her appearance. Could it be love at first sight for me? The more Qi Tian thought about it, the more outrageous he became, and he had some small thoughts. After all, who would not like such a cute girl? Originally, I had a very good impression at the birthday party today, and I have become a lot more handsome. This idea is not impossible. If that's the case, then I'm really being unkind. Cross someone's corner, but think about it, the two of them are quite incompatible. Moonlight Gale is definitely not capable of protecting her. If that's the case, then I think it's quite appropriate. Kishin clasped his hands in front of him, and then raised Erlang's legs. This is how I started my fantasy, often this time is the most beautiful. The night passed quickly, and Kishin dressed up in the morning. After all, when you go shopping with other girls, you always need to be decent. This outfit looks pretty good. That's how it is, we must leave a better impression on others. Kishin looked at himself in the mirror, and touched his handsome face. After packing up the things, I waited for a while, but there was no knock on the door. Don't she know where my home is? If that's the case, it's really bad. Kishin suddenly felt a little flustered, and began to step left and right on the spot. After much deliberation, I didn't think of a result, and I also felt the hunger in my stomach, so I just ate breakfast directly. He took off his coat and went to the kitchen to get busy. There are two important elements for shopping with girls, one is to have enough food, and the other is to have sufficient physical strength. Qi Tian understood these two elements very well, and specially prepared a lot of food for himself, trying to make himself full. It's really delicious. But it's already this time, why don't you come here? Could it be that you have to wait until the afternoon? After eating, Qi Tian looked at the time and found that it was already 9 o'clock. Now this time is also very helpless, and there is no way to go out for a walk. If she went out now and Azuki Shion came to the house and found no one, it would be really too bad. After a brief cleaning, he came to the yard. This waiting situation is really tormenting. I hope to come sooner. Sakishin just sat here and waited, feeling more and more bored as he went on. As time slowly passed, it was already afternoon. Boom boom boom. There was a hasty knock on the door. Sake Tien immediately regained his spirits, then stood up, tidied his clothes and walked over. I'm coming. When I opened the door, I saw Azuki Shion, but her expression was a little flustered. What happened? Sake Tien noticed something was wrong at the first time, and then asked. Sake, please help me. I have been followed by a person since I left home. Until now, I don't know who he is. Azuki Shion was very flustered, and looked behind from time to time. When Kishin heard it, he was instantly filled with anger. It's okay, I'm at ease. You go in quickly, just leave it to me here. There are still people making up my mind about my woman. Qi Tian cursed secretly in his heart. This is not a sign of the horoscope, and Kishin is already shamelessly taking Azuki Shion as his own. After observing for a while, Sakiden let Azuki Shion walk in, and checked carefully here himself. Soon, he discovered that there was a person sneaking there. Moreover, the face is completely covered, and the movements are also very strange. It seems to be you, let me see who you are. After confirming the target, Kishin pulled a wooden stick from his door and rushed up. The sneaky person, after seeing Kishin rushing, turned around hurriedly and wanted to escape. But in any case, Sake Tien's speed is not boasting. In an instant, he came behind him, and then put the wooden stick on his shoulder. Run, where else do you want to run to? Chi Tien's eyes were fixed on the back of his head. This sneaky person also gave up running at this moment, and stood still without turning around. In broad daylight, actually follow. And it's my friend who is following me. I think you are tired of your life. Chi Tien stretched out his hand and turned him around, wanting to see who he was. But this person covered his face tightly, and there was no way to see who he was in the first place. And at this moment, the sneaky man suddenly took out a handful of chili noodles from his pocket and sprinkled them forward. Cough cough cough. Seeing this, Chi Tien hurriedly stretched out his arms to block, and the sneaky man also took this opportunity to run forward. This kid is playing dirty tricks. Cough, cough, cough. Kishin never thought that the man would use a dirty trick, and he caught it perfectly. After dealing with it, the person just now had already disappeared without a trace. He is lucky. If there is another time, he will definitely not let him escape. I am still very curious, who is it? Forget it, no matter how much it is, let's go back first. Kishin looked at the chili noodles on his hands, feeling very uncomfortable, and his stomach was full of anger. After returning home, Sake Tien immediately went to the water pipe and started cleaning. Sake, how are you doing? At this moment, Azuki Shion had regained her composure. Chi Tien shook his head. I didn't catch it, let that kid escape. If it's not like this next time. Sake Tien told Azuki Shion about what he had just experienced. Although it was very embarrassing in the process, it is better to tell the truth. Forget it, forget it. If there is no you this time, the consequences will be really unimaginable. But in the end, it was not clear who that person was, and it was not clear at all what his purpose was. Azuki Shion was thinking about what happened just now, her legs trembled unconsciously. Seeing her like this, Chi Tien didn't say anything. He has to do things in broad daylight. It seems that this person is really not simple, or it is his first time committing a crime with no experience. Don't worry about it so much, there should be no problem in the recent period. Don't let me meet next time, or you will definitely make him look good. Sakiden clenched his fists, then looked at Azuki Yuyan and said very seriously. Azuki Shion nodded. There is a lot of unwillingness in my heart, but there is nothing I can do now. Okay, calm down first. There should be no problem in my house, and I will protect you. Kishin took out a water glass from the kitchen, and poured a glass of cold boiled water. The two sat here and rested for a long time. Azuki Shion finally calmed down completely, and any girl who has experienced what happened just now will become her shadow. Kishin has always been the most disgusted by such people, and this kind of sneaky thing is indeed very annoying. And at this moment, Kishin found that Azuki Shion was a little different from usual. The dress is obviously deliberate, and she also wears a particularly beautiful headband. Didn't you say you're going shopping today? Why don't we start now? It's still early, maybe we can have a meal outside. Chi Tien came back to his senses, and finally said the purpose of today. Azuki Shi nodded with a smile on her face. After the two reached an agreement, they happily came to the street. The most important thing today is to go shopping. Sake Tien also made sufficient preparations for this day. The two were very happy when they were shopping, and Sake Tien also found that he liked Azuki Shion a little bit during this day. The whole day was spent outside, both of them bought a lot of things, and also ate together. At night, they reluctantly parted. After Kishin returned home, he also felt very happy today, but there is a problem that has been bothering him. Who is that kid today? I also observed carefully this day, and found no one following me. It doesn't matter that much, if this thing happens again, I guarantee that he won't be able to eat and walk around. Sakishin shook his head, letting himself stop thinking about these things. After washing up, I slowly returned to the bedroom and began to rest. I'm going to report tomorrow, so I can't go there with dark circles under my eyes. Today, Qi Tian packed up his equipment and walked out of the house. I didn't say what time to go today. Is it so imprecise? Let's go earlier. Anyway, I can't let people wait for me. At least let people see my diligence. Kishan checked his equipment again, and didn't know if he could go out to perform the mission this time. But at the very least, you must bring all your equipment, so that you can respond in time if you encounter a sudden situation. Soon came to the Hokage office building. Jung looked at the towering building from below. Qi Tian suddenly felt a little confused. If he joined the team, he would have to go out to perform tasks endlessly. This will also mean that I don't have much free time. And if you don't join the team, there is no way to go out to perform tasks, and there is no way to get paid. Although there are ways to make money, Kishan still wants to go out and have a look. After all, I have never experienced such a thing as performing a mission. For such a thing, it is indeed like a noob. Then it's decided. After making up his mind, he lifted his feet and strode forward. Soon came to the door of the office. Looking at the very familiar door, Kishan sighed softly. Although I already knew that I was ready in my heart, I still had some hesitation. Just as he raised his hand to knock on the door, Sakita suddenly stopped what he was doing. After a while, he knocked lightly on the door a few times. Sake Tien, you're here. Exactly, come in. Sakita knocked on the door, then opened it and went in. The third Hokage is just like the old man, sitting on a chair with his own pipe, looking old-fashioned. Hello, Hokage-sama. Is there already a team to join? Qi Tian didn't have any ink marks, and went straight to the point. Time now is like money, it is very valuable. Kishan doesn't want to waste every minute and every second at all. Sandai Hokage took a puff of smoke, then nodded with a kind smile on his face. Yes, nothing wrong, and this matter is a bit abrupt, so I didn't have time to tell you. Now you have to join Anbu first, and then take the Chunin exam. Kishan was also quite confused by the sudden news. After all, there are not so many such things. Why did things become like this? Didn't we agree before? Kishan was a little bit angry, but the other party was Hokage after all, and he couldn't show his anger. Don't be angry, in fact, there is no conflict. Anyway, everything needs to be done. Is there any difference between joining the Anbu first and then taking the exam, and taking the exam and then joining the Anbu? The third Hokage looked at Sakiden with a smile. That smile seemed to say that I am the boss here and I have the final say. After Qi Tian heard the news, he didn't say anything. Who made people's status very high? And Kishan himself is very clear about this careful thought. It's nothing more than letting myself be controlled by him earlier. After joining Anbu, you must obey the orders of the old man Sandai Hokage. When the time comes to take the exam again, I will definitely be tricked. Since you have said that, I can't say anything more. For this matter, I have no meaning. Kishan knew very well that there was no way to change this matter. It's better to just compromise honestly like this, and it won't do me any harm. Sandai Hokage was very satisfied after hearing what Sake Tien said just now, then stood up from his seat and came to him. Good boy, I have arranged this matter for you, and your benefits will definitely be indispensable at that time. The third Hokage touched Sakiden's head with a smile. Then he took out a scroll from his sleeve and handed it to Qi Tian. This is. Sakishin looked at the scroll in his hand and knew it was ninjutsu. This is something for you, I promised it before. When you finish the Zongnan exam, there will be more. All said, work hard. The third Hokage patted Sakiden on the shoulder again, still smiling. Thank you Hokage-sama. Qi Tian is still very talkative, as long as it is beneficial to let him do anything. And he himself will never do things that are not beneficial to him. Well, they should be coming soon. You'll be meeting your new teammates soon. Sandai Hokage looked at the time, then walked back to his seat with a smile on his face. Qi Tian put the scroll in his backpack, then found a place to sit down, and began to wait. This process is still somewhat lengthy. Grown-ups. At this moment, a person from Anbu suddenly appeared at the door of the office, holding his hands together. Come in. After getting permission, Anbu Ninja walked in, and glanced at Sakishin next to him, only one glance. Then he began to explain some things to the third Hokage. Is this person my captain? It's so airy, it's not easy to get along with. Kishin felt a little regret in his heart. After all, the person in front of him was much bigger than himself, and there was a kind of coercion in his eyes. Okay, then do that. Now I have something else to tell you. Sandai Hokage put down the documents in his hands, and then came to the desk. Sakita also stood up. Qianshin, this is the new team member I found for you. Don't underestimate him, his strength is no weaker than any of you. I believe that you will be able to complete the task better together. Sandai Hokage looked at Sake Tien and said with a smile, feeling like his own child. Chi Tien also stood aside very obediently. After all, this is the first time he has experienced this matter, and he has no experience. Didn't your lord tell you before that we really don't need newcomers in our team? What happened last time? He said something on our team's mind. I'm afraid this matter is not easy to handle. The Anbu ninja looked at the third Hokage with great respect. After hearing these words, Chi Tien was even more confused. Obviously, he was also forced, but now the team doesn't want him. Wasn't it all discussed before? Why did you temporarily change your mind now? I know that incident is a scar for you. But this person, don't underestimate him. He still has great potential. I also believe that I can flourish in your team. 3 generations of Hokage can't control so much at all, and a talent like him must not be let go. Grown-ups, Anbu Ninja was about to say something, but was interrupted mercilessly. Okay, needless to say. Let this matter be like this. Hurry up and take him to collect the equipment, and then get familiar with the environment. The rest will be left to you. As the boss of a village, the 3 generations of Hokage still has a lot to say. After saying this sentence, the Anbu ninja really didn't say anything more. Sake Tien, this is your future captain, Hado. Just follow him. Just ask him if you have anything. I believe you will play a very important role in his team. And it certainly has a great future. The third Hokage seemed to be a different person when talking with Sake Tien, very amiable. Although Kishin didn't know what the current situation was, he didn't know what happened in this team. But at least it has a good home now. I understand. Hello Captain Hada, my name is Uchiha Sakiden. Kishin greeted the two of them very sensibly. After all, as a rookie, I still have to act like a rookie. What, you belong to the Uchiha family? After hearing Sake Tien's self-introduction, Bodo was extremely excited. His eyes were also a little different from before, and he turned his head to look at the third Hokage next to him. The third Hokage returned to his seat and started smoking like someone who had nothing to do. After hearing what Bodo said just now, Sakiden nodded due to inertia, although he didn't know what was going on. Okay, that's all, my lord, then I will take him to get the equipment first. After speaking, Bodo walked directly towards the door. Sake Tien also made a gesture to leave, and then followed behind Bodo. The two of them walked on the road like this, neither of them spoke. What happened in this team? Is there any ulterior secret? Are you going to take me to get the equipment now? Kishin was very curious on the road, and he was always a little excited. After all, this is also the first time to go to Anbu. Captain, please tell me what happened in our team. And when you introduced yourself just now, you seemed to have a big reaction to the Uchiha family. Sakishin still couldn't help asking curiously. Bo-Duo didn't speak, but still led him forward. After seeing that there was no answer, Sakishin didn't say anything more. After all, such things cannot be forced to speak out. You don't need to know about this now. If you have a chance in the future, you will naturally know. As for why there was such a big reaction just now, it is indeed because of the Uchiha family. We also have people from the Uchiha family in our team. You'll understand in time. Hado stopped suddenly, and then spoke in a very low voice with his back to Sakiden. Kishin was surprised again. He didn't say it just now, but now he said it again. And not all at once. This is really maddening. Yes. Kishin didn't ask any more questions, and then followed him again and walked forward. Soon, the two came to a very hidden place. And this is the entrance to their Anbu. I heard that you will start the Chunin exam soon. Hado waited for the staff to arrive, then looked at Sakiden. Yes, the original plan was to finish the exam and then join Anbu. Who would have thought that Hokage-sama would suddenly arrange such an arrangement, and I really have no choice. Kishin looked very relaxed, and then said this kind of thing lightly. After hearing these words, Bo-Duo looked up and down, and at this moment he felt very incredible. Obviously at such a young age, he has already graduated ahead of schedule, and the Chunin exam is about to start, and now he has made an exception to join Anbu. There are various indications that what I see in front of me proves that the young man's strength is extraordinary. Very good, work hard. I heard that there are people from other villages participating in this exam, so you must be careful. Bodo was a little gentle when he spoke this time. Soon they made their way to the arrival of the staff, and then managed to get the gear and clothes. He changed his clothes and followed Bodo to an open space with his equipment. Very well, it's much more pleasing to the eye this way. I'm going to tell you something important next. Hado looked at Sakiden in Anbi's costume, and seemed happier than before. After entering the Anbu, you must abide by the following rules. First, always put the task first, and the village cannot be violated in any way. No matter what happens, the task must be carried out to the end. Even if you are alone, you must complete the task. Second, the news of the mission cannot be disclosed to anyone, including your parents and family members. Third, keep it secret, and don't tell anyone that you are a member of Anbu. The above three are the most basic requirements. As for more details, I will tell you later. Bodo didn't talk too much nonsense, and directly introduced the regulations that must be followed to join Anbu. And these regulations are quite strict. Of course Sake-tien also knows something about Anbu. These regulations of Anbu are actually quite difficult to understand. For most of them they have some objections. Although Sakida knew something about Anbi, he never thought about it carefully. After all, he never planned to join Anbu from the beginning. As Sakida, who has seen Ludao in the entire ninja world, he knows that he can't make a high profile at this time. In the eyes of these ordinary people, the Jonin is already very powerful, but in the eyes of Sakiden, the Jonin is just a bit stronger cannon fodder. Now it can only develop honestly in the Anbu. Only when one's own strength is strong enough to pass the 6 paths can one fully raise one's profile. I have no objection to these regulations. Sake-tien nodded and replied. Very well, here is your mask. From now on, I believe that you have become a member of our team. As for other people, it depends on their attitude. I believe you should have no problem. Bodo took out a wolf head mask and handed it to him. Kishin looked at the mask in his hand, somewhat excited. And he also understood those words. He had to seek the consent of others in this team, and he had to gain their trust. You are not the first to own this mask. His former owner is also from the Uchiha family, so your codename from now on will be Wild Wolf. You can count as inheriting everything from him. Bo-Duo looked at the mask, and his voice was a little different. Chi-Tien looked up, and seemed to understand the ins and outs of the whole thing. Okay, I understand, I will not let you down. Captain. Sakiden put his own mask on his face. Bodo nodded very relieved. There is nothing to do now, and there is no task now. We will gather here at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Then I will take you to the training place and meet other teammates by the way. Chi-Tien nodded very obediently. He is also a little happy now. After all, he has not thought about how to get along with other people. It is better to leave some time for himself. Oh, forgot. From now on you can call me Captain, or my code name, Lion. You can call him Captain in normal times. Forget it, you can call him whatever you want. Ha ha. Bodo laughed and seemed to let go of something. Chi-Tien was very puzzled and froze in place. Bodo, why does this name sound so familiar? It seems to be a star, but I can't remember it no matter how I think about it. Chi-Tien was struggling with this name, and then slowly left, and here came to the street. I took off the mask before I walked out, so I still have to abide by the rules. Several things have been completed now, and only the last exam is left. I don't know when I can take the exam, and I don't know if there will be a task tomorrow. Almost forgot, there is another problem tomorrow. Chi-Tien suddenly felt some headaches, and he was going to meet with other teammates tomorrow, and he didn't know what would happen. I have no experience in the aspect of interpersonal relationships, but now I have to experience these again. It's almost the rhythm of death. After returning home, Sake Tien took off Anbi's clothes and put them on the bed. I'm so tired, I can finally take a rest now. I don't know what kind of tasks are waiting for me tomorrow. And they don't know if they can get along well. Chi Tien lay on the bed with his eyes open and muttered to himself. At this moment, he suddenly thought of what Bodo had said to himself. There are still people from other villages in this Chunin exam. It seems that there is nothing wrong with it. If it is true, it will be much more interesting. Originally, the Zongnan exam was a matter of this village, but the sudden news of this really made him feel a little surprised. The third Hokage should also know the news, that's why he put forward that condition. It seems that there is an arrangement. Chi Tien was originally talented, and his strength was very strong. Let him take the exam, it must be to pass successfully. In this way, there are only advantages and no disadvantages for Muya village. And he can also tell the outside villages that another talent has appeared in his own Muya village. I really didn't realize that this old man thought so carefully. He was really scheming and arranged for me clearly. With this feeling, does it mean that the benefits he wants are less? Kishin suddenly regretted what he wanted at the beginning, and suddenly thought of that scroll. He took it out of his backpack and began to examine it carefully. From the outside, it looks like a dilapidated scroll. And after carefully flipping through it a few times, I didn't see clearly what his name was. The most important thing is that there are some things in it that I don't understand. Could it be that he gave himself a fake? If this is true, then Chi Tien will have to go to the old man to settle the score. Forget it, let it be like this. Anyway, this thing is useless to me. Why are you asking for trouble? Anyway, I've settled down now, so I can just stay in Anbu with peace of mind. Kishin thought about it carefully, and in the end it was better not to make trouble for himself. It is also possible to spend this life gracefully and unrestrainedly. Put the scroll aside, and then came to the yard. Now he can't be completely considered an Anbu ninja. After all, only the captain in his team has recognized him, and there are several other people to deal with. I haven't seen a few of them until now, and I don't know what kind of people they are. This is going to be difficult. What I'm worst at is interpersonal relationships. And maybe there will be a task tomorrow, and I will perform the task with a few people who don't have much contact with each other. I didn't dare to think about it before, but now I have encountered it. I hope there will be a good result. Chi Tien let out a long sigh of relief, looked up at the sky, and began to think about how to get along with them. In a team, gaining the trust of teammates is very important. Boom boom boom. And at this moment, someone knocked on the door. Strange, who will come to me at this time? Kishin came to the gate with doubts. After opening the door, I saw Moonlight Gale. The two looked at each other, and neither of them said anything. Why are you? Is there anything you can do to find me? It still means that the favor has not been repaid. Sakishin frowned slightly, then looked at him. Moonlight Hayate shook his head, then kept staring at Sakadin. This feeling of being stared at is really uncomfortable. Quickly tell me what's the matter. If there is nothing else, you are not welcome here. While speaking, Chi Tien was about to close the door. There is really no way to have a good impression of this person in front of him. At this moment, Moonlight Gale suddenly pushed the door of the house. I want to challenge you. For Xian. After hearing this, Chi Tien was slightly taken aback. Then think about what happened recently. Thinking of what happened at the birthday party that day, Sakishin smiled slightly, and felt a little embarrassed. After all, it was a prying corner, and there was no way to be so confident, but for the door-to-door challenge, Kishin has no reason to agree to him directly. Are you sure you want to challenge me? It's impossible for you not to know the gap between the two of us. If that's the case, you're here to beat me up. And I want to tell you that you are completely unqualified to challenge me with your current strength. When Chi Tien spoke, he was merciless. Moonlight Gale was also very angry after hearing these words, gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. The eyes kept staring at Sakishin, wishing to tear him apart. I don't want to hear what you said. You don't have to worry about whether I have the qualifications. Anyway, I'm going to challenge you now, and I think all of them will prove that I am better than you. If you don't take up the challenge, you're a coward. Moonlight Gale didn't know the consequences of what he said, but he knew that he needed to save face now. Before, he felt that Azuki Shien's attention was all on Sakishin, which also made him feel very uncomfortable. She was originally the girl I liked, and Sake Tien was here to help. In the end, the two of them actually got involved, and Moonlight Gale absolutely wouldn't allow this to happen. Hehe, I really can't see that you like to be beaten so much, kid. Since this is the case, then I have no reason to refuse you anymore. Anyway, I am in a particularly bad mood now, and there are sandbags coming to your door. Why should I refuse? Kishin finally agreed, and then opened the door. I wasn't in a good mood at first, and I was very irritable. It is a very good thing that someone is now taking the initiative to act as a punching bag. I'll make you regret it. Although I was the one who invited you to the birthday party, the mistakes I made did touch my bottom line. I don't care who, anyone who dares to play Shi Yan's idea, I will not allow it to happen. Moonlight Gale came directly to the yard after finishing speaking. For such a thing, they don't need to choose another place. The yard of Sake Tien's house is really a special magical place, and every challenge will be carried out here. And many people came to his house to beat him before, but at least there is no one now. Everyone knew how strong he was, and they didn't dare to bully him anymore. It's not too late, let's settle it here. Do you want me to let you do 3 tricks, lest you be defeated in a while and say that I bully you? Sakadin seemed to be looking at him with great interest. Chi Tien also appreciates it for the girl he loves, but if he wants to admit his strength by himself, it is absolutely not allowed. And there is absolutely no need for him to show mercy. Although it is not good to pry the corner of the wall, Kishin feels that the relationship between the two of them has not yet been established, which can be regarded as fair competition. I want to beat you upright, and I don't need you to let me. And I am also confident that I can defeat you. I have full confidence in this, otherwise I would not be able to come here to challenge you. Moonlight Gale took off his coat, and stretched his muscles. It seems to have a lot of confidence. But Kishin was very curious. He had already shown his strength at the birthday party that day. The few of them were also dumbfounded, but there are still people who want to challenge themselves. If this is not death, what else is it? Okay, now that you've said that, then I admire you very much, but there is one thing that I want you to understand. Azuki Shien is not your person, and the relationship between the two of you has not been clarified. In this case, the two of us are considered fair competition. There is no such thing as grabbing or not grabbing. Chi Tien opened the skylight to speak brightly. After all, it is good for him to understand such things. Hey, Moonlight Gale spit out a mouthful of thick phlegm on the ground, staring straight at Chi Tien with both eyes. Where did all the nonsense come from? You are not in charge of this matter. You were the one who got there first and killed it halfway. It can still be regarded as fair competition. I think you are a villain. I don't know how many times you have done such things. Today, I can be regarded as doing justice for the heavens, so I must teach you a good lesson. Moonlight Gale has no idea what the price of saying these words is. Chi Tien didn't say anything more, just stood where he was and smiled softly. It felt like it was useless to say anything. As long as he beat him up and let him see his true strength, he would willingly admit defeat. The two stood in the middle of the yard, and a gust of cold wind blew across their faces. Just then a leaf suddenly fell from the tree. It slowly fell to the ground, and at the moment it fell to the ground, the two rushed towards each other instantly. See if I don't beat the shit out of you. Moonlight Gale clenched his fist and threw a left uppercut, which was still very fast. Chi Tien didn't have any nonsense, and immediately withdrew his head back. So easily dodged the left uppercut. Moonlight Gale was not too surprised. After all, he also knew that Kishin was very strong. And he didn't think he could use his strength to defeat him. After Chi Tien escaped the attack, the corners of his mouth rose slightly. It's really a monkey who wants to challenge me with this strength. After the first attack was empty, Moonlight Gale quickly raised his legs, and a sweeping attack came. Quickly bent down, dodged the attack, and punched out. Boom! With a punch in the stomach, Moonlight Gale also flew out, and then fell heavily to the ground. Although his strength is not strong, he is still quite tough. After falling to the ground, he immediately stood up again. Not bad. As soon as the words fell, Kishin disappeared in place. Moonlight Gale also began to search carefully, but appeared in front of him in the next second. Moonlight Gale was surprised, and when he was about to avoid it, Qi Tian's fist was already coming towards him. A powerful fist hit his face. Of course, Qi Tian also controlled his strength, otherwise his nose would have been broken. Just like that, Moonlight Gale flew a few meters away again. Kishan looked at the blood on his fist and smiled softly. This kind of abusive feeling is really cool, but there is no sense of superiority. The punch just now directly bleeds his nose. Moonlight Gale stood up slowly. At this time his head was already buzzing, and his nose was also throbbing with pain. Wiping the nosebleed with his hands, his face was still understated. Humph, it seems that I can't beat you like this, but I still have a trump card. Moonlight Gale staggered to his feet, wiped away the blood from his nose, and then took out a weapon from his back. When did you take the weapon in your hand? I didn't even notice it, I was careless. Sake Tien carefully recalled what just happened. Only then did he realize that the position where Moonlight Gale had just landed on the ground happened to be where he was equipped. But just carelessly, let him hold the weapon in his hand. Are you planning to use weapons against me? Or do you want to use weapons to defeat me? Qi Tian didn't even need to think about it, after all, he had never used a weapon before. Moonlight Gale must have used the weapon because of this incident. But he didn't know that Kishan's knife skills demonstrated a cheat. HMPH, be afraid. If you are afraid, kneel down, kowtow and plead guilty. And you will never see Xian again. Moonlight Gale immediately felt that he was very majestic, although his nose was always hurting. Qi Tian smiled, no one knows how many trump cards he has. And the kid in front of him actually started to provoke ruthlessly, obviously he just didn't get beaten enough. Okay, since you use weapons, then I can't continue like this. Kaleidoscopic, open. With a soft drink, the eyeballs began to spin at high speed, and finally turned into a kaleidoscope Sharingan. Seeing this scene, Moonlight Gale had some hesitation. After all, this is the first time he has seen the kaleidoscope Sharingan, and he has heard of it before, and knows how powerful it is. What? Afraid? It's late. After the words fell, Qi Tian used his legs hard and rushed over in an instant. Although Moonlight Gale knew how powerful it was, he didn't dare to give up easily. Raise the weapon in your hand and face him. When the two were about to approach, the weapon slashed vertically at an extremely fast speed. But these movements are more than 10 times slower in Kishan's eyes, just like a turtle. That's it. Kishan first punched him on the wrist holding the weapon, and then began to output crazily. Punch after punch hit his lower abdomen. In a few seconds, more than a dozen punches hit his stomach. And Moonlight Gale's expression also began to become extremely painful. The last punch will send you to heaven. After finishing speaking, he clenched his fist and performed a nirvana. Boom, bang. Moonlight Gale's hand holding the weapon loses strength for an instant, and the weapon also falls to the ground. At the same time, the body flew backwards and hit the wall heavily. A mouthful of blood spurted out. Finish. Seeing the moonlight blast that had no resistance, Qi Tian also cancelled his Sharingan. Then he picked up the weapon on the ground and walked slowly towards him. With your strength, if you want to defeat it, I don't know how many years you will have to practice. No, it should be decades or hundreds of years. And the knife, you don't use it like this. Qi Tian came in front of him and seemed to be reprimanding him like a teacher. Then he held the handle of the knife with both hands, took a deep breath, and slashed forward a dozen times in an instant. And every attack perfectly avoided the Moonlight Gale. Under the attack just now, Moonlight Gale did not dodge in the slightest, and of course it was because he had no power at all. Young man, you are useless with weapons. If there is another time, I guarantee that you will not go home so completely. But I believe there will be no next time. The two of us will start to compete fairly, so that no matter who loses the game, we will be convinced. Sake Tien then inserted the weapon into the ground and began to deal with the blood on the ground just now. As for Moonlight Gale, there is no need to worry about him now. Because he has no mobility at all. It's really disgusting. I'll throw you out after I clean up this place. It's really disgusting, Sake Tien complained while cleaning up the blood. Almost 10 minutes passed, and all the traces of the previous fight disappeared. Then he came to Moonlight Gale again, and now he has regained some sanity. You can throw him out. How is it? Do you feel very unconvinced? Actually, I also admire you. There is a big difference in strength between the two of us, but you can challenge me for Azuki Shiin. I also appreciate you very much. But you have to be realistic at all times. Chi Tien stared at him with both eyes, without any anger. For such a fool, Chi Tien couldn't say anything. Hey, although this time I was defeated by you. I will definitely defeat you next time, and then I will tell Azuki Shiin that I like her. Moonlight Gale raised his head slowly, and then spoke some words unclearly. Sake Tien nodded with a smile on his face, and it is okay for the current result. Okay, now that we've said it, I'll let you out of the house too. After all, I'm not an idler, and there are still many things I need to do. I'm also very worried about you here. If you feel uncomfortable after going out, you should go to the hospital. After Sakishin said these words, he buckled him out of the wall. The strength I used just now was indeed a bit strong, and I was even a little worried when I pulled it out. I hope you don't come to trouble me again in the future. If there is another time, it won't be as simple as it is now. After speaking, Sakishin closed the door. Moonlight Gale also gritted his teeth and limped towards the distance. After going through this battle, Moonlight Gale finally realized how big the gap was between the two of them. If you want to defeat Sakadin, you need to work hard. It's really troublesome to finally get rid of this person. I never thought that one day I would go to pry other people's corners. There are still some guilty consciences. Sakishin returned to his bedroom, then sat down and looked at his hands. Unknowingly, it reminded him of the previous memory. But those memories are not so good for him. My life is not controlled by others. Why should I consider their feelings? Go after whoever you like, no matter who the official CP is. It's all mine here. No one can compete with me, and I don't believe there is anything I can't get. Sakishin suddenly clenched his fists and made up his mind. There is no other thing now, the only thing is to face those teammates tomorrow. So far he has not thought of a particularly good method. No matter what, you have to get to know them, and you must try your best to make them trust you. Okay, I also need to pack up. Tomorrow, maybe there will be a task. It's better to pack up in advance. After finishing speaking, he began to pack his equipment and put his weapon in his backpack at the same time. After all, such weapons still have a great effect when facing the enemy. You can also let yourself have a weapon for self-defense. That's it. There is no need to be so pretentious when you go out to perform a mission for the first time. These things are completely enough. I don't know what kind of tasks will be waiting for me tomorrow. Kishin looked at the equipment he had packed up, and then began to fantasize. I especially hope that I can go out of the village to perform tasks. After all, I am very familiar with this village. I also really want to go to other places to have a look. As for why he wanted to go out of the village to carry out the mission, there was also a certain reason. All his own strength is very powerful, and there are many secrets that others do not know. If you show all these things in the village, you may be targeted by others. For example, the 3-generation-old man, Danzo, the most important thing is Orochimaru. But after leaving the village, Kishin's world is there, so there is no need to think about it so much. Come however you want. At the same time, in Hokage's office. It seems that this kid is lucky, but he doesn't know what the result will be in the future. The rest of the team wasn't that easy to deal with either. What will happen in the future will depend on his fortune. By the way, let them carry out the task tomorrow. Go out of the village and let him exercise. The third Hokage sat on a chair and smoked a cigarette, talking very leisurely. In front of him, an Anbu ninja nodded respectfully. As for what the old man was planning, no one knew. Go down. With an order, the Anbu ninja instantly disappeared in place. And Sandai Hokage turned around to look at the scenery outside, and kept blowing smoke rings from his mouth. Danzo, Orochimaru, these two people are not so easy to deal with, and the future depends on you. After speaking, the screen turned to Sake Tien's house again. Chi Tien was completely impatient at this time, and couldn't wait any longer. As long as I think that I can carry out the task tomorrow, I am very happy. And I also know that if I go out to perform tasks, my life will be more or less in danger. Often these dangers are accompanied by some stimulation. Sake Tien is such a person, if there is no challenge, it is not a task. The day passed quickly, and Sakuden got up very early in the new day, then happily changed into Anbu's clothes, and rushed out of the house with his things. Go to the place they agreed on. Although I am very afraid of getting to know those teammates, it is inevitable. I hope they all get along very well. Forgot to ask Bodo, how many people are in the team? Sake Tien suddenly stopped and realized a serious problem. 1 or 2 people is fine, but if he is allowed to know 3 or 4 people, it is better to let him die. Thinking back carefully, Anbu ninja teams usually only have 4 or 5 people. Thinking of this, I feel relieved a lot. I hope you and I are right, let's go. Kishin set off again, and at 7:30, he arrived at the place where they gathered. As rookies, they definitely couldn't let their old players wait there. Arrive early if you can. They haven't come yet, hurry up and think about how to talk to them. God bless. Sakishin wandered around and started talking to himself in place. Time passed slowly, and it was 8 o'clock in the morning. At this time, 3 people walked in near the intersection. It can be seen from their figures that there are 2 men and 1 woman. One of them that Sakita knows is his captain, Bodo. The other 2 were his teammates. A man and a woman, luckily there are only 2 of them. Kishin watched them walking towards him, and his heart began to beat faster. Soon the 4 stood together. Captain, is this the new member of our team? You are so young. Hello, little brother. The woman stared at Sakishin with both eyes, and was the first to speak. Bodo nodded over there. Sake Tien, let me introduce you. This rabbit is an agile fighter in our team. And this one, the frog, is the observer in our team, and his strength is also very powerful. Individual combat will make you dumbfounded. Briefly introduce these 2 people, and then start to introduce Sake Tien. Hello, my name is Wild Wolf. I am suitable for fire escape and speed. Please take care of me in the future. Without waiting for Hado's introduction, Sake Tien stepped forward. And when he said these words, he was more or less nervous. The rabbit looked at Chi Tien with a smile. Welcome, little Wild Wolf. The personality is really similar. The frog didn't say anything, just nodded. Then they started discussing the mission, and Kishin also let out a breath at this time, as if something had been relieved. Lions, wolves, rabbits, frogs, all present. Sake Tien officially joins a brand new team. At this moment, Kishin felt that other people in the team were not as difficult to get along with as he imagined. The first meeting was also quite satisfying, which also paved the way for them to get along in the future. This big event has finally come to an end. I feel much more comfortable in my heart. There seems to be a mission now, but I don't know what it is. I hope it can be carried out in the village. Kishin watched them discussing himself with some curiosity. Wild Wolf, come here to find out about the situation. I just joined our team, and I'm about to go out to perform missions. I'm really lucky. And this task is not too difficult, it is very suitable for you to practice your hands. Captain Bodo turned his head to look at Sakishin, and waved to him. The eyes of the other 2 people also shifted to Kishin. Sake Tien nodded, and then walked into some to begin to understand the mission. The task this time is indeed very simple, but it needs to go out of the village to perform it. Our purpose is to exterminate some bandits. According to the mission, they are not very strong, but their numbers are several times that of ours. Considering that the Wild Wolf has just joined our team, this time we will move slower. Let him get used to it. Captain Bodo looked at them and briefly introduced these tasks. Everyone nodded after listening. Chi Tien has some expectations now, and it is also the first time he has gone out to perform a mission. Although they have already been out of the village, the last time they went out to play was completely different from this time. Do you understand everything? After you understand it, prepare your things and we will leave at 10 o'clock. Wild Wolf, this is your first mission. For safety's sake, I still have to say a few more words. The place outside is no safer than our village. It can be said that it is full of dangers everywhere. So be careful when the time comes. Perhaps because of Chi Tien's age, the captain deliberately explained a few more words, and at the same time his eyes turned to Chi Tien. I see, Captain, don't worry. Kishin answered without thinking too much. After seeing his reaction, Boduo also nodded quite satisfied. Okay, there is still an hour before departure, we are all ready, and then we will gather at the entrance of the village. After a while they all parted and left the place, and everyone started getting things ready. And this time the place to go is not particularly close, so we still need to prepare a little more. An hour later, Chi-Tien had arrived at the entrance of the village. Considering that this is also the first time to perform a mission, I have prepared things for myself and rearranged them. Only brought some water and some food, and only a small portion of weapons. As a qualified ninja, survival in the wild is also very powerful, and there is no need to worry so much at all. This time we can finally set off. I don't know what these bandits look like. A few of them are here. When Chi-Tien was talking to himself, he noticed that the other 3 people in the team were walking towards this side. They also carry very little. Are you all ready? Captain Bodo looked at them and asked again. Everyone nodded, expressing that they were always ready. I will tell you the details of the mission again. The destination is at the junction of the Fire Country in the north, and one of our strongholds has been robbed by bandits. This time we want to wipe out all these bandits, and then take the stronghold back. Among them, we are likely to encounter many bandits, so we must keep a low profile then. Captain Bodo emphasized again to the 3 of them. Sake Tien nodded to indicate that he was completely fine. Very well, let's go then. Bo Duo gave an order and rushed into the jungle first. Chi-Tien and the other 2 followed closely behind, and soon, the 4 of them disappeared into the jungle. Chi-Tien shuttled through the forest with a smile on his face all the time. He had been waiting for this day for too long. And this time, he was finally able to walk out of the village in a fair manner, just to see the scenery outside. Finally out, it feels like a dream. Sakita looked around while running. The rabbit next to him also noticed his movements. Little wolf, it looks like you're really looking forward to leaving the village. Do you have any other ideas? Do you want to talk to your sister? The rabbit deliberately approached Sakishin, and then said to him with a smile. Sister Rabbit, I didn't expect to be discovered by you. It's okay to say it. I have lived in the village for a long time, and I really want to come out and see the outside world. I finally met such an opportunity, of course I will be very happy. Although I know that there are countless dangers ahead, I still can't resist the curiosity in my heart. Sakita replied with a smile. After listening to the rabbit nodded with a smile. Actually, the first time I came out to perform a mission, I also had your thoughts. But no matter what, it's better to be careful. Chi-Tien nodded, indicating that he understood. The outside world is full of countless dangers, and of course I am very aware of it. Come out openly, and it's really different from the sneaky ones before. I finally feel very at ease. It would be even more perfect if I could go out with a few of them to carry out the mission. I don't know how they are doing now. I don't know if they have improved their strength. Chi-Tien was thinking silently while running. According to what he thought, it would be quite free if he could come out with a few of them. After all, everyone knows everyone, and there is no need to have so many constraints. In this way, they kept walking at a constant speed for a day and a night. And at this moment they had traveled a third of the distance. Everyone take a break, drink some water, and eat some food. Well, replenish your strength. Then we're going to get to the border very soon, and that's where it's most dangerous. Bodo stopped, and then found a place to sit down and talk to them. Everyone nodded, and then sat down and began to drink water and eat. Fortunately, I brought some compressed food when I came out, otherwise I would have starved to death. While speaking, Sake Tien started to open the food and began to eat. And the few people next to them also started to eat in small bites. Bodo didn't relax like them, still standing there looking at the map. After all, there are too many things to consider as a captain. Sister Rabbit, it seems that you have come out to perform missions many times. And there is no panic at all, everything is in order. Sake Tien suddenly started chatting with Tien. The rabbit nodded, and then took off his mask. At the same time her golden hair flowed like a waterfall. Rabbit, why did you take off the mask again? After Bodo saw the movement of the rabbit, he said hurriedly, but he was not angry. It seems that it should be no surprise. What's the matter? There is no one else here anyway. It's really too hot with this broken mask. The rabbit became cute after eating. Duo didn't say anything more, and had been studying the map there, but Sakatan was different. This is also the first time Chi Tian saw the real appearance of the rabbit. She looks like a royal sister, and coupled with her golden hair, she is simply domineering. It doesn't look like the main character, but this face is really amazing. If it were placed in the original world, it would definitely be a first-rate female star. How many men would she be charmed walking on the street? While eating, Kishin's eyes drifted to the rabbit from time to time. The rabbit sat nibbling and fanning himself with his mask. They didn't have much rest this day and night, which led to a lot of sweating in the cold weather. The frog next to him also took off his mask. After seeing this situation, Duo didn't say anything more. After all, there is really no one else here. I'll go, this old man is too dark. Could it be that he ate too much melanin when he was a child? The frog showed his face like a blue sky, but at least his facial features were more delicate. If it was whiter, he would be a handsome guy. Sure enough, the world is big, and there are all kinds of birds. Kishin also felt a little stuffy at this time, and finally took off his mask. It seems that in this team, the mask is to prevent the enemy from recognizing him. And beside your teammates, there is no need to wear it at all. Little brother is really handsome. I never thought there would be such a handsome guy in our team. Compared to the two of you are simply low. The rabbit inadvertently noticed Kishin's face after taking off the mask, and then began to complain to the other two people. After the captain and the frog heard what the rabbit just said, they just pouted and didn't say anything else. Little brother, I really didn't expect to be so handsome. If I didn't take off the mask, I wouldn't be able to see your real appearance, sister. When the rabbit spoke, he had already come to Sake Tien's side. After Chi Tien heard these words, he instantly felt that the situation was not good. I regretted taking off the mask in the first place. Sister Rabbit, don't make fun of me. I can't help it. I've looked like this since I was a child. Chi Tien scratched his head with his hands, and said with some embarrassment. The rabbit covered his mouth with his hands and laughed. Little brother is really too cute, but your appearance reminds me of the original owner of the mask. The rabbit's expression suddenly fell, and then he looked at the mask in Chi Tien's hand. Rabbit, what are you doing? The frog suddenly became excited at this moment, as if these things didn't want to be mentioned again. What's the point? As his current master, Little Wild Wolf needs to know his former master. And he will be our teammate in the future, so he should know these things. The rabbit was more excited than before, watching the frog struggling to refute. After hearing these words, the frog didn't say anything more, and clenched its fists and came to the side. Sitting on the side, Chi Tien didn't know what they were going to say, but he knew that the truth would be revealed soon. And Bodo, who was standing aside, didn't stop the rabbit either. It seems that he also wanted to tell Kishin about these things, but he never found a suitable opportunity. Sister Rabbit, what's the situation with the original owner of this mask? Why don't you guys want to mention it? I'm also very curious. It doesn't matter if it's inconvenient to say it. Just do what you think. Don't think too much about me. Of course Kishin is very curious, but he also needs to be reserved. After all, I have felt that something is unusual since I joined the team. So far he doesn't know what happened, only that the original owner of the mask had a very painful experience. And this experience was the last thing a few of them wanted to mention. Actually, what you said is completely correct, but there are some things that we really don't want to mention. It was also the most painful memory among the few of us. The reason why I want to tell you now is because you are already our teammate. And you have also become the current owner of this mask. It's absolutely necessary to know what happened to him. The rabbit slowly took over a mask, and tears filled his eyes while speaking. Anbu ninjas are human no matter what, and they have the feelings of ordinary people. Chi Tien no longer smiled at this moment, replaced by a very serious expression. He knew how important this matter was to the few of them. If you still have a hippie smile on your face, you can imagine the result. The original owner of this mask also belongs to the Uchiha family. He is also a newcomer in our team. Around your age, and as talkative as you. When I see you, I see his shadow in you. The rabbit's attention gradually shifted from the mask to Sakatan's face. And he trembled a little when he spoke. Qi Tian didn't answer, just sat there quietly and listened. That period of memory is really terrible. If possible, I really want to forget it. I still remember that I went out with him on a mission that day. But suddenly it rained heavily. You also know that as a newcomer in the team, you will often try to be brave and want to prove your strength as quickly as possible. And in that mission, the worst result occurred. When the rabbit was talking, his hands unconsciously worked hard. Hearing this, Sake Tien probably already guessed the following result. Being brave and wanting to prove one's own strength is the best condition for the enemy. After all, often in that situation, the enemy will be underestimated. Some of the main things among the rabbit phasers were revealed. In the end, he fell into a pool of blood, with several stabs in his body, the most deadly being the 2 stabs in the heart. If we found out in time, then he would not have died. In fact, most of the reasons are our own. We didn't observe him carefully and let him do those dangerous things by himself. That's why I don't want newcomers. Bodo suddenly came to the two of them at this time. Qi Tian looked up and found that a tough man's eyes were also full of tears. Through the words just now, Sake Tien learned that they were also very optimistic about that Uchiha. Captain, Miss Rabbit, Kishin wanted to comfort them, but he didn't know what to say. Don't worry, I am very clear about my own strength. I will only do what I can, and I will never be brave, and I will never let that happen again. If you are really scared, you can let me do something, just to test my strength. I'm here to assure you that no matter which mission, I will survive safe and sound. I will never let you see things you don't want to see. Kishin stood up suddenly and said to them righteously. After hearing these words, the captain and the rabbit were also a little moved. I believe in you. After all, you are the person who handed over to me from the 3rd Hokage. I also believe that you have that kind of strength, but in order to be safe, you must report to me no matter what you do in the future, and you can only do it after getting my permission. Bodo wiped his tears gently, then stared at Sakiden with both eyes. Sakida nodded. At this moment, Sake Tien felt that he could also adapt to this unfree situation. Obeying orders is originally the bounden duty of the team members. Ding, the persistent host's change of mind. The bloodline is so touched, it has been automatically blackened, and it is decided to let the host's strength go to a higher level. Ding, the blood has been blackened successfully, all ninjutsu including Sharingan have been upgraded, and the current level is Super God. The voice of the system began to echo in Qi Tian's mind. Qi Tian also felt very miraculous at this time, and more importantly, he had to strengthen his inner thoughts. After all, he was also the first to join this team. At the same time, I want to carry forward here. Yes, Captain. I will absolutely obey orders in the future, and I will never try to do things that I can't do. At the same time, I assure you that we will never let that happen again. Qi Tian straightened his back. Because of the system, Qi Tian's tone of voice now is much more confident than before. At this moment, the captain and the rabbit felt Kishin's sincerity, and at the same time felt relieved a lot. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.